coincidentally,
Oh yeah,
this podcast is also being live streamed in 4K, which is
crispy.
ridiculous to me. Immediately into it, right? Hang on, there we are. So we got that full 4K live stream capacity. What I will say is, if we accidentally run over 4 hours, apparently YouTube will just cut us off. So we have to keep it under 4 hours.
Bandwidth hoggers.
Yeah, I got like a little notification when I set my live stream resolution to 4K, being like, FYI, if it goes over 4 hours, we don't archive the footage. And I was like, oh, thanks guys, just in case I needed that. Oh man,
we are live.
All right, I'm going to push out the socials real quick. So
awesome.
Before we get into it, as I mentioned, we have a wonderful Benjamin Abawaji. Where is what have you been up to? What's going on?
It's been kind of a busy week, to be honest. Just like family stuff.
Right.
Just trying to pace myself and just get myself into a position ready for the new year. But yeah, the videos this week has kind of been slow. Right. So I was the only video I was actually able to post was my first attempt of a vlog. So
which got demonetized, and I guess that's going to be our first subject of the show. Man.
It's just become a conspiracy theory. Like, if you guys may or may not know Brandon Havard, go check out his channel. Awesome guy. Had an opportunity to link up with him yesterday, and it's a very thing that we were talking about. It just happens to be a case of video number 9 for me in a row. It's very convenient that the only videos that have not been hit with any form of limited ad issues is 2 videos that had the Google Pixel 2 in there. And I'm not saying there's some conspiracy theory, but it just seems very convenient.
You're not saying it's there, you're just saying it could be there.
Yeah. So please don't quote me to say that I found out some factual reasons to say and prove that that's the case, but it's just convenient, like how a vlog where I probably only put like maybe 3 tags in that video.
Right.
And you just don't know. It's like we had this discussion where it's like it works on 3 levels, right? The big channels, as quote unquote say, where mentally people see big channels as 1 million subscribers and over, which is fair. That's like proper income that they can depend on that really gets sucked out of them. And when you request for a manual review, it doesn't get reviewed straight away. It can take more than half a week for it to be turned over. That's a long time if you have a daily upload schedule, or even every other day, whatever it is. Half a week is too long for it to be sorted.
Not only that, but it takes a hit to your revenue, right? Because your peak viewership is like the first 24 hours. So it's all well and good they restore it after a week, but you've already lost most of the money you were making off that video.
You've completely lost. For the middle guys, i.e. the small, I don't really class any person that has a 6-figure subscriber count more as a small channel. That's just me personally. Mm-hmm. But for those guys, it's literally like income and revenue stream that helps, and also potential new subscribers that get recommended the videos, right? Yeah. So that also hits them on both angles. Us smaller guys, i.e. less than 10K subscribers, it's literally just tanking the video. It's not like we're going to get like X amount of views off the roof, but I've seen it so many times. The minute your video gets demonetized, YouTube pretty much makes no money off your videos. So there's no real need for them to recommend your videos onto other people's videos. It just doesn't, it's not business smart, especially if the system feels that it's not suitable for advertisers. So then your video just gets ended up at the bottom of the search pile. And it just means less people are going to see it. Means less potential subscribers that will probably see your video to like it enough to be like, hey, awesome, let me subscribe. So that means your channel growth is just literally stuck. And demonetization literally equals demotivation. That's what happens. You just think, what is the point? and it really becomes like this genuine relationship as the best video platform literally is the worst to put all your effort into because you just get shot in the foot.
Right.
And yeah, that's been another constant thing to be dealing with. So yeah, I mean, on a positive note, the channel hit 2,900 subscribers, which I'm so
Whoop whoop.
over the moon. And
rumor
just
has
like,
it there's a giveaway coming soon.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. So I really wanted that on the kick. Like I'm gonna be like back on full throttle videos for the week. Couple more camera tests, couple more handsets coming in, reviews to be done.
Ooh.
And that should help push us over that 3K threshold so I can give something back, because this year's just been, not only it's been like a challenging year, but at the same time it's been like one of the best years ever. So that goes 2 and 2, and I really want to give back to the supporters, man. It's like without them hitting subscribe, it just wouldn't be motivated. Like,
Yeah.
right, let's keep going irrespective of what's going on. But yeah, no, that's been my side on Lover of Tech. How is your side over in Georgia treating you?
Oh man, Georgia's good. Like in general, right? So I've been working at the TV. I've worked like 16 days straight at this point, I think, something like that. I have not taken a break, or much of a break, since getting here, I should say.
I can imagine.
Now I should mention it is mostly my own free will. So I've been coming in and doing all I can to help, because these 3 months are like the toughest 3 months for the TV station. So I'm here to help out, and I'm lucky in the sense that I'd spent a lot of time not doing much in England over the last month or so.
Yeah.
So I really have that drive and hunger to do. So that's what I've been doing mostly, and I am going to be working Monday and Tuesday, so the next 2 days, and then I'm actually got like the rest of the week off.
Nice.
So
nice, perfect timing.
Yeah, exactly. My parents are coming over from Georgia. From England. So
Okay.
I'm gonna be meeting them at the airport. They're here for 10 days. I will spend about a week of that with them. So that'll be good. We'll be together for Christmas. I don't remember when they fly back, but so we'll be hanging out, and it should be good. But there's just so much happening over here. Luckily, they've been really nice. They gave me this really nice windshield, right?
Yeah, that's a legit one,
right?
It's a legit one.
These are actually from the UK, so they got them custom made in the UK and then shipped over.
Oh, nice.
But
I need to get one for mine as well. Now that you mentioned it,
you need your logo on it, right? Like,
that's
a big
it
deal.
helps.
That's a big thing, right?
Yeah, it helps because it's like, when you go to like trade shows, like we were at the Razer event and stuff. It just helps. It just helps like brand image and stuff. So no, that's a good shout. That's a good shout. Looks
and it's
legit.
one of those things where it is cheap, but it's perceived to be expensive, if you know what I mean.
But that's good. That's good. That's always the beauty in it, I think.
Right. It gives you because the moment you see someone with their own microphone cover, like windshield, you tend to think, oh my God, that must be like a very serious outfit.
Yeah,
right?
100%. You want that in many different ways. And
the issue I had is I wanted a Snappy-Tech kind of deal, right, with this, but I never found a design that looked quite right for me.
Okay. I get what you mean.
We were thinking of having the blue with just the white logo, but the fact the logo's square looks a bit off when you actually put it on one of these. So we had some we had some mock-ups made, and they just never looked quite right for me. So we never ended up going with that. I don't know. I definitely feel like I've missed out not being in England. There are a couple of things that have happened, and there are a couple of things coming up that I'm missing. The PC Gamer Weekender, for example, is on like the 18th of February, I want to say, off the top of my head. And we've covered the first 2 years of that, but we won't be covering this year. Because
I've not. Oh, man, the PC gaming scene is like, ever since I've gotten so serious with the content creating for the channel, it's like my mind is shut off, and it's something that is so annoying. I need to get back onto it, to be honest, because I really want to start incorporating it onto the channel. Because
Oh,
like,
man.
fun fact, early days of the channel, I used to do like PC performance reviews on how it
Ooh.
ran. So I've got a playlist for that, but it just naturally took a back seat because phone season literally just went ape. It just
Yeah.
this year phone
And then,
season has just
you know,
been
and
way
there were
too
companies
much.
announcing phones that we weren't expecting to announce phones. Cough, cough,
Exactly.
razor, cough, cough.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Like just phones. It felt like every other week someone was doing something with like a genuine phone release. So it's like, whoa. So that really, which is great on one hand because you've got coverage, but then it's like it really takes a back seat on some of the stuff that you want to do. So okay, nice. February is going to be a pickup month as well.
yes, yeah. No, absolutely. As far as I'm concerned, it's perfectly timed. Um, or it was, I should say. I'm now no longer in the country for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it kind of saddens me because it's what I used as like my determiner because it's the first live event we went and or not the first live event, but the first event we went and covered.
Yeah.
So the first year we covered it, our equipment was horrible to be nice.
Progression.
And then the second year our camera and our microphone and everything was completely different. We
Yeah.
turned up with like all new gear, and you could tell. Like looking at
Yeah.
an interview from the first PC gamer to the second, there was a huge difference.
Huge difference. Yeah.
And for
Yeah.
me, I use that as my like, this is where Snappy-Tech has come, kind of deal. So
Yeah.
it's kind of sad
100%.
to not have. It's kind of sad to not have that as a point of reference. But I guess we have this instead as we're live streaming in 4K.
In 4K. That's a big deal. Honestly, that's a big
Man.
deal. And like I
You can,
always say,
you can
like,
probably read the whiteboard behind me. You can probably read what that
100%.
says.
No, I'm being
Like,
serious. 100%. Have a story. Why does that? You can see it. Mine is like the doctor's handwriting, but you can see it visually clear.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I always say like there's always two elements, man. Like I've just been obsessing over audio and lighting. Not that visual quality doesn't matter, but you just don't realize how many people don't tolerate bad audio and bad lighting compared to like image quality.
You know what I
and
will say, and I'm going to use my whiteboard now to portray my point. Are you ready for this?
yeah,
Let me
yeah, make
hang
it
on.
happen,
Wait,
make it
we're going
happen.
full visual. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in on mine. There we are. Look, it's me. I'm now going to use this whiteboard to demonstrate. I didn't see this coming, so ignore what it already
This is
says.
This is
What I
an
will
after school
do-
session now.
Right. So we have. This is like. I'm gonna have to do this with my right hand, so excuse the bad quality. But if we have like a line graph, right here, and then we have. So if we have audio, so this is like perception, and then this is quality, right?
Yeah.
So you can have low quality video, but it's perceived like quite highly,
Yeah.
right? Or you can have ultra high quality video and it's perceived ultra high.
Yeah.
However, if you have poor quality poor quality audio, it is perceived really badly.
Oh,
And if you
very,
have
very bad.
And if you have ultra high quality audio, it's perceived as about average.
Yeah.
Right? So you have sort of that versus that.
That.
So you can have, you can have average quality video, but you need above average quality audio to kind of match that.
No, 100%. Because one thing you start learning with post production is there is things, even if you had, let's just say, 720p video quality, there's things in post that you can help fix that. So
Yeah.
long as your lighting is good and everything is exposed properly, you can have sharpening. You can actually learn how to color correct a little bit. You can learn how to look up tables like LUTs to
Yeah.
give like a different image, whether you want kind of like a warm, a colder, a filmic look, a more broadcast look. You can do things to kind of like compensate for the fact that your resolution is not maybe as crispy, or your dynamic range from your camera is not as sharp, or your low light performance is not good, but like lighting and the reason why I'm saying it from experience where I've shot like a whole video before and the audio was so terrible, but the video looked so good. I could not bring myself to use that audio one, and I could not bring myself to save the audio. It was impossible to save it in post. Whereas I've had situations where maybe stuff has just been blown out visually and I've been able to recover it in post. Maybe not fully, but it's like, is the end user really going to notice that the highlights or the exposure was so blown out where I couldn't recover it? No. Does it mean I shouldn't care about it next time? No. But it's so much more important to make sure to get the audio and the lighting right, the set. So no, that's a good shout.
There we are. I didn't think I'd be drawing graphs on today's Snappy-Tech podcast, but apparently I am.
After school session with Snappy-Tech.
Oh man, no one wants that. Let's be honest. But yeah, it's definitely and our setup reflects that. We have 4 different microphones for the Snappy-Tech YouTube channel. Yeah. Not because any one of them is individually not good. It's just that they all have different strengths, right? We have
situational strengths.
Exactly. We have a lav mic for if it's just me. We have a shotgun mic if it's a small group in a confined space. We have a interview mic for example, the PC Gamer Weekender. So we have different microphones for different situations, and that's what you need. Whereas a camera is, you buy one and more or less it will be good enough in almost any situation.
It will, and the thing is, it's just like it's the lenses that make the difference once you start investing. And even me, like I'm even surprised people's responses to the vlog yesterday was so positive. Because I just didn't know what to expect of it being it first time. But even to a certain extent, is like I actually think using a compact wireless lavalier mic system with a dead cat is actually kind of like a better solution for vlogging. I know it's weird. It goes against the Casey Neistat recommendations and everyone else, but it weirdly enough worked for me based on the fact that lavalier mic systems are always on you.
Yeah.
No matter where you move around, because vlogging tends to be more of you telling the story throughout the day, and I don't know, I just felt like that's actually, I've never seen anyone kind of recommend actually, if you can get a compact lav mic system and use it for vlogging, because funny enough, if anyone else was around me talking, i.e. Brandon yesterday, you could hear him perfectly fine, but with no noise distortion, because you just put a dead cat on and you're good to go. Not to say shotgun mics are not useful. I mean, they are the de facto standard because of cost to audio quality improvement, i.e. something like a Rode Video Micro. Thing is like £40, £30 if you get lucky with pricing, and it is going to be miles a day better than an internal microphone, period. Put a dead cat on it in any situation, there's not going to be any wind or distracting noise to actually muffle the sound, But actually, just a small pro tip from a non-pro vlogger: actually try and see if a lavalier mic system might be better for vlogging. Who knows?
Just give it. You never know, right? So it's always worth experimenting. Always. Never know. It's always worth giving it a go. Right. So I wanna hit you with a topic. I'm not sure. Have you had a chance to look over show notes?
Briefly.
Okay, cool. So I want to start off with, where should we start? Is there anything that ties into our conversation so far? You know what? There is, because I feel like this is the kind of thing that would be really useful for vlogging. So there's a company I believe the company's called Beam.
So is that Casey Neistat's company?
No, wrong Beam. I mean Beam spelled B-E-A-M.
Oh, okay, right.
So Beam Authentic might be the name of a company, actually.
Right.
No, the name of the company is Beam. They have a product called the Authentic. This is a AMOLED display that is circular and is like pin-sized, so that you can you can wear it like a badge, I guess.
Yeah.
And the idea is you pair it with your smartphone and you can push images to it, right? So it can display whatever you want it to display. So you can have, if you have if you have a political association, you can have it for that. You can have it for charities. You can have it. And I tweeted them a couple of days ago, and I tweeted them, but I really wanted to get one. However, they cost $99, and and I'm also not in the US, which is also an issue, right?
Yeah.
But I was, I did that kind of sarcastic, like, "Hey guys, hit me up and I'll do a review," kind of deal, right?
Drop it in.
But it has a 400 by 400 AMOLED display, so it's a legit device.
Yeah, definitely.
But when I tweeted him, I was like, "This is perfect for memes on the go. You just load up some memes on your badge and you're good to go." Right, I just walk around with a Snappy-Tech logo on it.
And the thing is, it's like visual captures and visual diaries are just becoming such a thing. That is literally like, wow, yeah, interesting.
But
interesting. Did they reply to you?
They did, yeah. They were like, memes on the go. That sounds great, like that kind of deal. Because I can imagine myself like just getting like the weirdest of things installed, like to put onto it. And it is worth mentioning, it has a 24-hour battery life. So you can
if it's pin size, definitely. I mean, that's actually
not
quite
pin
good.
size, it's like badge sized. So
even still, if you think about just like space for capacity for,
Yeah, it's let me see if I can pull up the dimensions here. So if you go to beamauthentic.com, you'll see the device.
Okay.
I will shoot it over to you in a tweet as well, just in case. But I'm looking at it, and what I will do is this. Oh, hang on, I forgot to make. So all of our assets are still in 1080p. So I've just gone to display the screen, and it's like in one corner. So
okay, I've seen it now. So right, it's got like a black bezel.
Yeah, so you can get it in black or white.
Okay.
Let me.
That is actually kind of awesome,
Yeah, it's interesting. There we are. So it's interesting, and it's the kind of thing that again, I see myself wearing, providing I have like $100 to blow on it, right?
On a fancy badge, effectively.
Right?
But
yeah.
still.
Like I don't see myself using it for any like genuine uses. I'd use it like for fun, right? It wouldn't be something I use with a proper, like, reasonable intention.
It's kind of like the equivalent of Animoji.
Yes, yeah. Oh my god, can you imagine having Animoji on it? You like sync it up with music, and as you go, you just have it playing.
Honestly,
that's what it needs.
It's literally,
you need to be able to use it as like an EQ.
It's literally the equivalent of Animojis, kind of like the technology behind it. It's actually quite awesome for a first generation thing, but the usefulness is like not there. If I consider like with my iPhone 10 that I have, how often have I used an emoji? I've had to intentionally do it because my wife is like, "Oh, can you send an emoji to the kids because the kids actually like a laughing or a talking monkey of dad,
right?
Or a talking pig of dad. It makes them laugh and miss you more." That's been the only time. Any other time, it's just like I don't even think twice about using it. So I get what you mean. It's cool, even just by first look, like that's actually kind of cool, but useful intentions, questionable.
And at $100, right? I feel like that's I'm sure I'm sure it's roughly, they're not being extortionate with the pricing. It's just, I'm gonna wait for it to be on sale.
That's one of the things, you kind of have a suspicion of, maybe Samsung charging them more for you have to de facto think that, those OLED panels are from Samsung and they're literally kind of like charging people a lot more for them to like get things sourced out. So that might have a reason to do with it. I'm not saying Samsung do, I don't have any evidence, but it's kind of like the de facto knowledge of any mobile-based OLED panel kind of comes from them. No one else at the minute, so.
And I think it says AMOLED on there. So AMOLED is a Samsung technology, so it can't be anyone else.
It can't be. It can't
So
be.
it is a
It can't
Samsung
be.
display, which I guess is better than
Yeah.
having an
LG.
an LG one. Yeah.
Poor guys. Honestly, poor guys.
They
We'll
should.
see. Maybe Google and Apple invested so much money into that part of their display division on the mobile front might change things next year, because
That's the hope, right?
that's the hope, because Apple when it comes to QC control, like quality control, they are proper stickler on it. They're a proper stickler on it. And I still firmly believe that
What?
obviously the best display experience is still the Note 8 slash the S8 Plus, but the out of the box experience on the iPhone 10, I'm actually, minus the notch, which I still haven't gotten used to.
Right.
It's actually very good. It's a weird sweet spot. It's not the OLED or AMOLED screen that you kind of expect to see, where it's very punchy, but it's nowhere near as like dull as the iPhone 8 Plus when I had it. It sits in the middle. You can
Right.
visually tell it sits in the middle somewhere. But yeah, it's out of the box is good, but it's just a lot of stuff has been said, oh, it's got the best display ever because of this, because of that. I'm like, no, not really. The overall experience is lacking in some things because of like a cynical design choice. And you just have to consider, like, if you go into the display settings, no third-party app needed. With the Samsung displays, you can literally change any of the profiles that you want, So,
Right. And
yeah.
that's the big thing for me. I also love how it has a specific mode for whilst you're playing video. So if you
I
open
love video enhancer.
right, so if you open it in, if you open up YouTube, it instantly runs video enhancer and it looks gorgeous.
Heavenly. Heavenly. Like it's that kind of thing, because I tweeted out on one of the guys that Stephen Potter, he's another YouTuber as well, and he was like, oh, I would pick the Apple display any day because of calibration. And I was like, I'm using both of these phones and calibration only tells half of the story. If we're talking about the complete display experience, not just because it's a out of the box better calibrated display. If it's calibration that you want, go into the display settings, no third party apps needed, literally just change the profile into basic, and that will give you the most color accurate display on any phone, even more color accurate than Apple's one. So then where is the argument?
That's the issue that Google had as well, right? Because they were saying with their Pixel 2 devices, their argument was, we just haven't
sRGB.
made our... Yeah. And they were saying that their displays were just not as oversaturated as everyone else's. And there's like some level of truth to that, but it doesn't quite equate for the entire difference, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it is worth mentioning that, all of these companies, and especially Samsung, like especially when you like take a picture, they go for the TV shop effect, right? Where they have it intentionally oversaturated, so it is as punchy as possible.
Yeah.
And it is a matter of going into the settings and changing display style to basic, but that little bit of punchiness is what most people are looking for, and therefore
Exactly. And I totally agree. And there'll be times where people will leave certain comments on the camera tests that I do and stuff. They're like, oh, people will be complaining about saturated stuff, and I say that's other people, but that's not me. Like, at the end of the day, I'll probably state that maybe this for more accurate, more natural, neutral look, but the personal preference is really down to what the person wants. And the honest truth, whether people like to admit it, based on, and I'm not downplaying the importance of color accuracy and making things look as it should, but the honest truth, subconsciously, maybe not consciously, people just love stuff that are much more visually pleasing. And that's what made me fell in love with AMOLED panels back in the S2 days.
Yeah.
You see. But obviously the problem with AMOLED panels then were just the fact that there was no option to have any form of color accuracy. One, the pixel arrangements were all pentile based rather than maybe sRGB or diamond pentile. And the brightness was shockingly bad, like really, really bad. It was non-existent, you see. And it was only from the S6 is when they actually managed to fix the brightness issue, you see. So You're right in what you're saying. Really, it's all about having subconsciously the more visually pleasing look, because more people actually gravitate to that more, and that's just smart marketing in one respect, So yeah, so it's interesting. It's interesting. We'll see if the investment has gone into LG will make a difference in that division, because
I really
Samsung
hope
right
it
now.
does. I really hope that.
I hope so too. 100%.
Because for me, that was the biggest flaw in the LG V30. That and the camera software, because the camera hardware is great. If you sideload the
Minus
Google
the selfie
camera.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. But if you sideload the Google camera
APK,
application, it looks like the rear cameras look gorgeous.
Gorgeous, yeah.
Whereas in the default software, they look horrible. Like, they're compressed to all hell. They have basically zero dynamic range. HDR Plus is basically like witchcraft, right?
Yeah.
That looks crazy.
This is what I'm saying. Like, I've got to give them props, man. Like, of all the things I don't agree or like about what they did with the whole Pixel 2 and the Pixel 2 XL launch, when it comes to like software based, image processing, like, wow. Wow. It's not perfect. I mean, there's times where it over sharpens a lot, but yeah, I thought about it and I said, I kind of prefer the fact that it over sharpens a bit, because you can dial it down. You can't make a soft image sharper if you wanted to. It looks more artificial.
Yeah.
Whereas you can, like, there's that personal preference thing again, right? So it's really down to how you want your stuff to look. But I kind of like just where they went with it. So I mean, the very short time that I saw the V30, I didn't notice nowhere near as much as of a quality control issue as I saw with the Pixel 2 XL. The Pixel 2 XL was instantaneously bad. Mm-hmm. Instantaneously bad, where I'm just saying, me, based on how I use my phone and how I hold my phone, I don't actually always hold my phone dead straight. I thought about it, but I actually don't. There's a lot of times where I'm holding my phone at an 85-degree angle, especially when I'm walking. I just noticed that that's actually what I do. I don't know, it's just a natural way of how I use my phone. And when I first heard when I first held the Pixel 2 XL, the blue shift was too much. I'm just speaking for me. The blue shift was way too much. In my opinion, I felt like they'd messed up. So we'll see next year if they can get their act together, or they might just cave in and say, look, we'll just go back to Samsung to use for both displays like we did with the original Pixel. So,
and the interesting thing is they've brought in HTC now, so we'll have to see how that factors into it.
I completely forgot about that.
It'll be interesting because now they're doing it completely in-house, right?
So we'll see
how that works. What I do want to say real quick is, as an example as how over sharpness can look a bit weird. Let me do that thing again where I make myself full screen so you can only see me now if you're watching a podcast. This is on average sharpening. So sharpness is currently set to 128. This is a range of 0 to 255 because, maths. So this is at 128, the middle number. If I turn it all the way up, you can see that it just looks really weird. This is technically the sharpest photo. It accentuates everything, and all of a sudden I look like a billion years older. And if I turn it all the way down, let me just, it helps if I can click the thing, and now it looks soft, right? It makes me look my youngest. My skin is completely clear because there's no definition in it whatsoever. And so there is, some level of over sharpness might be great if you want the detail, but you go too high and you end up with whatever the hell this look is. So want that middle ground.
That middle ground, so I think what Google did with theirs is they kind of went past the middle ground. It's kind of like they went 75% the way. Mm-hmm. They didn't go all the way to the max where it looks super artificial, but you can tell that they're sharpening, but like they've made it work with the color profile, so to me visually, I was like, that's actually more pleasing to me. But personal preference might actually go this way based on certain things, but yeah, that's such a good point. That's such a good point, and it just shows the Google APK, the difference it makes, because it seems like it's been the de facto standard for phones that don't have good camera hardware and software, i.e. Razer phone, Essential phone. Right. Those are two other phones as well.
Yeah, it seems like it's a big it's the Essential phone as well, not to the same extent as the Razer phone, I think, because the Razer phone, they very much stated their main focus wasn't the camera.
I agree.
Using the default Google camera APK is a massive improvement, and it's crazy to see how big the difference is exclusively software based. I do want to take a second to say that we actually have our first ever 4K stream. So someone is genuinely streaming this in 4K as we speak. So if you are streaming this in 4K right now, first of all, congratulations, and second of all, thank you, because you are now you are the reason I'm going to justify this for the rest of however long we do this for. Oh man, that is crazy.
Bandwidth heaven.
All of that bandwidth. And amazingly, we've only dropped 117 frames during this whole show so far, which is 0.2%, which means at some point there was a light hiccup. And I'm okay with that. We
can live with that as a first 4K stream. We're doing well.
We can deal with 2 seconds worth of a hiccup. Over the course of 40 minutes, or however long we've been live for, 35 minutes. That's fine.
But it's a good point in state, because I pretty much called it that, especially the Razer phone, I kind of knew the camera wasn't going to be good from the get-go. Mm-hmm. I knew it. When I remember on the show floor when I was questioning the guys, they were like, oh wow, you're actually asking in-depth stuff, we'll get a camera specialist for you to come. And speaking to them, and I kind of noticed stuff when Ming Lang Tang was talking about the camera. I was like, he didn't mention OIS. There's no mention of the pixel size. There's, so I just knew certain things as a staple just wasn't gonna work out. And it's almost kind of like they fell into this trap that OnePlus did because dual cameras are the trend. We're gonna go with it, even though it hasn't been implemented properly. Yeah. I mean, the only thing I give OnePlus credit for is in daylight shots, the OnePlus 5T actually kind of holds its own. When I was pitching it against the Note 8 in the camera test, you couldn't really tell much of a difference between the two. And by some witchcraft, I actually, until I do one more test with the OnePlus 5T, I can almost, for certain, say in normal viewing mode where you haven't zoomed in ×2, right, in daylight, it probably has the best stabilization in any video mode, even against the Google Pixel 2, right, which is phenomenal for a phone that doesn't have OIS. And
that's the crazy thing, right? EIS has gotten so good, even at 4K.
Yeah, by OnePlus's standard, and even Google's, but it's just OnePlus has taken it that step further where I'm like, wow, it's impressive. But yet where I still stand by the fact that nothing beats a good quality OIS module, which is where I feel like if you can't implement that into a camera, don't do a dual camera system. This is why I kind of give credit to HTC, because I think they personally knew that we were not ready to do a dual camera system, because if we do it, we're following trend and we will either drop our DxO mark or we will just lose the camera quality that we want. And I respect that so much more, because OIS helps with definitely low light, long exposure, and just steadiness that EIS just can't fix in certain situations, So I'm there thinking, if you guys have invested so much into your EIS software being pretty much what I can firmly say is probably the best on the market, how much better would it have been if you actually made a single camera lens system? Then I would have preferred you guys to actually have put OIS in a front-facing camera like HTC did with the HTC 10, and then implemented the same EIS technology for both the front and the rear-facing camera, that would have been like a true flagship killer. I'm being serious, you know? And I just felt like it was kind of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and sometimes 1.5 step back because of trend, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting, definitely, no doubt.
So I have a question for you, because
the
last time we spoke was just after the Razer event, right?
Yeah.
And you know, we were both very much in the thought process of OnePlus have some ground to cover, right? They have to really pick it up, and we were both unsure on whether or not the OnePlus 5T would do that. Knowing what we know now, and with the 5T being announced and available, where do you stand now?
I still stand in the same place. The reason why I say that is because their business model is what made me fall out of love with Sony. You see, I still stand there. The only thing that has been their saving grace is in UK, and I'm just speaking for UK, a starting price of 449 compared to the Razer phone at 699, it still majorly undercuts the Razer phone.
Right.
And it still holds the crown as the fastest, most usable day-to-day phone in the world. And that was confirmed when I watched a speed test between that, the Razer phone, and the iPhone 10 on Phone Buff's channel.
Right.
So again, I'm not affiliated with David
I watch those all the time, and I'm just like...
All the time.
All the time. I've never wanted, like... Because, you know, the iPhones always get the highest benchmark tests.
Yeah, synthetics are...
Right.
You know.
And up until a certain point, right, the synthetics become useless at a certain point. So those real-world tests are the only proper way of knowing... how fast the device is. And sure, the animations are buttery smooth on the Razer phone, but if they're animating to a white screen, like, there's no point in having them.
There's no point. Yeah, and this is where like I give OnePlus credit for, because they've been able to increase that usable, like, you know, the usable speed and power more now to the point where it solidifies. I mean, if we're looking at synthetics, honestly, even with the announcement of the Snapdragon 845, Apple are so far ahead when it comes to system on a chip power. Like, I don't know when the Android space is going to catch them, and that's just you know, me just being honest. It's not fanboying to them.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Generally speaking, they are so far ahead. I don't know when Android is going to catch them with their system on the chips. You know, with the main benefit with Android is because Qualcomm will maybe support much better modems when it comes to like more reliable connectivity, which Apple's in conflict with Qualcomm about as well. You'll probably get better connectivity on the Android side when it comes to, like, you know, LTE speeds theoretically and more consistently. But in terms of just raw performance, Apple's just far ahead. But the mistake Apple did, and I've noticed it with the iPhone 10 when I've used it with the iPhone 8 Plus as well, that they made the mistake in not calculating how much more of a resource hog iOS 11 was going to be, because it having 3 gigabytes of RAM just doesn't work. And this is me talking about actually noticing app reloads, which to me is the weirdest experience. It's not a deal breaker. It's not the end of the world, right? But I'm saying it's like,
it's quality of life.
You just notice it. And that's what I mean. It's like at that level and at that price and at that competition, you notice those little things now. And iOS was never the device that you went to where you experienced any form of RAM issues, any form of RAM management issues, you know. And that, it looks like even after all the software updates, it just hasn't been fixed. So that is just a miscalculation from Apple's point, where they should have literally matched it with 4 gigabytes of RAM, just like they did with the iPad Pro 10.5.
Right.
You know, because for whatever reason, the difference in resource management from iOS 10 to iOS 11 has been big enough where literally, you know, phones like the Note 8 have literally been running rings around the iPhone 10 when it comes to speed tests, like real world ones.
Yeah.
You know, so when it comes to like OnePlus 5T, without digressing too much, my feelings haven't changed. It hasn't changed. I still think it's risky having this business model of not releasing a different product line like maybe the Note series or the V series, but it's a genuine replacement and it's a genuine upgrade. Great. The sales figures don't reflect my worry, and it's pretty much been their most successful phone to date, which is awesome. And I said it before, like, I may not be excited for the business model, but it doesn't take away from the fact that it's still probably one of the most relevant phones to purchase based on the value point to performance and battery optimization and speed. If you were smart enough not to buy a OnePlus 5, and if you were smart enough to buy a OnePlus 5, sell it quickly and get a good price on it. Easy. That's when it's still okay. But I know for me, where I fell out of love with Sony was if I didn't get the phone straight away, and even if I did get their newest phone straight away, in 4 to 5 months, the whole phone was obsolete. And it was obsolete to the point where it's not because they said, oh, we're still selling it while stock lasts at a reduced price. So get it while stocks are there. And then once it's gone, it's gone. It's literally like, we're not going to make the phone anymore. We're not going to support it anymore.
Yeah.
So
what if they had released the OnePlus X2? Because I think that's something people were, when the OnePlus X came out, people really liked it.
I liked it.
And then they never updated it.
This is my point. This is exactly my point based on this kind of like this business model where it's like they're rushing. And I mean, I get the whole argument of what Carl Pei said about it's kind of like similar to a software update where if you've got the hardware to do it, then why not do it and upgrade the phone so that the consumer gets the best phone possible and we keep it at the same price. I like the keeping at the same price thing, but then on the flip side as well, you're basically telling people like I said before, that true flagship killer that we said that we brought out, that wasn't really it. This is what it should have been. So I almost feel like I would have rather have waited a little bit, especially the fact that you brought out the 3T.
Yeah.
To wait maybe a month.
The 3T has that issue more than the 5T does.
Exactly.
Right? Because the 5 to 5T jump is definitely larger.
Yeah. I agree with that. But then in my mind, I'm thinking in terms of R&D or the lack thereof of R&D and just manufacturing time, them waiting an extra 2.5 months or 3 months, then releasing the 5T in that 18:9 ratio design, I think that would have just been a better way to do it, than to rush, bring out the 5, and then literally be like, oh, actually, really, what we wanted to do was this one. This is the 5T.
Yeah.
That doesn't sit well with me. It's now questionable whether they're going to do the same thing next year, but this is the problem now, because then now when you're going to buy a OnePlus 6 when it comes out, are you going to be confident enough to buy it knowing that's going to be the real phone to have for the year, or going to be like, well, I'll wait for the 6T, but then let's just say if the 6T doesn't come out because they decided we're not going to do that anymore, then the OnePlus 6 is now too old against all the other phones that are coming out.
Yeah.
So it leaves people hanging in a weird balance, So the honest truth is, I still recommend the OnePlus 5T. I do, but only if you were smart enough not to purchase the 5, or you were smart enough to sell the 5 quickly enough, because even against how well priced the Razer phone is, which like we discussed before, that's the main competition for it, I still think it undercuts it that much more. What does my math serve me if I'm correct? 50 cuts it by?
Sorry? You broke price? Up. Can you hear me? Say it again. You broke up for a second.
Yeah, what I was saying is the OnePlus 5T starting price undercuts the Razer phone by £250, I think.
Yes, the OnePlus 5T starts at 500.
That's a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's a ridiculous amount of money.
No, it starts at $450 in the UK. Sorry, I'm looking at what dollar price.
Yeah, so it's £250, right? If we're looking at UK. Sorry, £250 is still a considerable amount of money, even though I still feel like the Razer phone is priced really well. And because the 5T.
What I will say is the OnePlus. Oh, this is a 5T. Ignore me. Hang on. I'm trying to find. So I'm currently on eBay right now,
Okay.
Here it is. The OnePlus 5 used is currently on eBay, and it just sold for £350.
Awesome.
So if you can, and that was just £375, and that was
Still
right
relevant.
now. You stick
Still
£75
relevant.
on top of that, and you've got a OnePlus 5T, right? That's a £75 upgrade
Yeah.
for a 1-year-old device or a 6-month-old device,
6 months.
which is great, right?
Yeah, and that to me is what's been OnePlus's saving grace. That their direct competition being Razer, they've still undercut them massively. And it's fast, and it has the better battery optimization, and it has the better charging rate, even though it's a half proprietary technology.
That dash
it works
charge
over
is
USB-C.
crazy fast.
It's awesome.
It is
honestly
crazy fast.
It's been so far almost the best replacement to replacement batteries. That was it rhymed, it was intentional, but yeah, it's been like, it has been one of the best replacements to replacement batteries. Like now they've even been able to improve it enough where I think it was SuperSaf that did it, but it literally went from 0 to 100% in an hour and 16 minutes.
Bloody hell.
An hour and 60 minutes.
And that's getting to like 60% within half an hour, like 60, 70%, right? Because that last 100%. Bit that takes the time. So
yeah, and that last 15 minutes is not important. Like the most important part of fast charging in any way is just the hour, that first hour. And that first hour, it goes from 0 to 95%. So mentally in my mind, that's the full battery in an hour.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it relevant. But my stance is still on it's the phone I'm least excited about that I would still recommend.
Right. Yeah, I definitely share that sentiment there. It's not a company that excites me, but it's a company that makes good phones.
For the money.
Yeah, 100%. For the money. It is probably the best value for money phone you can buy right now.
Still is. Whereas we can both agree that the company that has left the biggest impression this year in terms of phone release is definitely Razer. That does not go away. When, again, not affiliated with Lou from Unbox Therapy, when someone like him has literally endorsed the phone to that level, it says a lot. And I don't see him endorse many products on that level, irrespective of whether it's a phone or anything. But the guy, and he says it in a humble tip, like he's privileged enough to be able to use so many devices where it's hard for any phone to leave an impression. But that one did. Even with its imperfections, it still left a very, very big impression,
And he spent that week, like, he talked about it in every video he released for like a week.
Every single video without fail. And he doesn't need to be paid by Razer to do that. I'm sure of it. He doesn't need that endorsement, right? If anything, him. So I've gone to that extent of every single video. He did scientific tests to prove how good how good the speakers were. And it to him, it's like, irrespective of the fact that it doesn't have a headphone jack, it doesn't have wireless charging, the camera's pretty much kind of deadbeat, to be honest, compared to the competition, even against the 5T. Something draws him back. And this is why I tell people, like, whatever their focus was in terms of what Razer wanted to do, they owned it. It's like they owned what they wanted to do, So that's where I left with like a very, very good impression. So yeah, 100% agree.
For me, the one thing that kept me away from a Razer phone, and I think I'm unique in the sense that I use the cameras more than most people.
Yeah.
Because I spend every day on this little known company called Snapchat, right? So you may know. The moment I spend 130 quid on their sunglasses, but I'm serious. Let's.
I would so do the same.
I'm live podcasting with my spectacles.
I can see like the circle and the stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so cool. I would so do that.
Because I spend so much time on Snapchat, as evidenced by these puppies, I just couldn't do the whole subpar camera deal.
That's
and
fair.
That was the thing that kept me away. Like outside, I love the speakers on those things. I wish we could get those speakers on the Samsung Galaxy S9.
Those speakers are life. When I say they're like the best way I tell people is it's literally like having a built-in Bluetooth speaker into your phone. It's not the fact that dual speakers haven't been done before. They have, but that's what I mean about it. They owned it. They pretty much went from, we know it's been done before, but we're just going to own it and make it the best ever, period.
Yeah.
Where the minute you hear them, you're the best speakers I've ever heard in my life. Without even any scientific proof, you just notice it. And that's what I mean. It's like those things leave an impression. And I'm a loudspeaker person, right? I'm a big fan of loudspeakers because I don't really like, if I'm picking my phone calls, it's either going to be with earphones in or on a loudspeaker, because I'm just weird where that strain of, again, first world problem of holding my phone to my ear, it's strenuous for me. I know it's weird, but it really is, so stuff like that just left an impression. But yeah, again, ever since I've started to now maybe do a lot more camera tests where it's become part of the channel and people love it and I'm enjoying it because I'm learning more about how different cameras behave. Whereas it wasn't much of a deal breaker before, it has become more of a deal breaker now with the Razer phone. I have to admit, it wasn't the case because I always felt, and I do feel that way, that because more than 90% of the time, my phone interaction is with the display. If that display is a deal breaker, i.e. the Pixel 2 XL, I will be automatically deterred from using the phone overall, irrespective of how good the camera is.
Yeah.
That balance has shifted a lot more. Display for me. But yeah, I do agree with the fact that if you're using the camera as your main daily interaction, yeah, you don't even go to the Razer phone. Not worth it.
Mm-hmm. And then there's also the fact that the Snapchat app is just horrible.
Terrible.
It's so bad.
Terrible.
Terrible. I forgot my CEO's name. Wait, hang on, Jack. No, Evan Spiegel. Yeah, Evan Spiegel. He came out and said, they had to straight up apologize for how bad it is.
It was terrible. It was terrible. It was non-excusable at all.
It's a slapdash thrown together application that is just bad. Yeah. Like there's no other word for it. It's just bad. And we're lucky in the sense that, he said they're going to be rebuilding the app from scratch because it doesn't even use the camera. It takes a screenshot of the camera output, which is crazy to me.
And this is why I have to tell people is like I have to remind people like they've had to take ownership because it's not got anything to do with Android phones. And I said, when you say Android phones, you've generalized like maybe your experience with maybe a mid-range phone that hasn't got a good camera. But the problem is the devs themselves have taken ownership of the fact that they've just not made a good app, period.
Right, and that's definitely the issue here because I take the exact same picture on like the Instagram app, and it looks perfectly fine. And legit. I saw I think it was Mashable. I'm not sure. It might have been Mashable, but there was a company that was talking about how Snapchat looked bad on Android and why it looked bad on Android. And they were like, oh, it's because it takes a screenshot of the camera because there are so many different Android phones. And I was just like, no, there's a literal API for this built into Android. This is exactly. It covers like 95% of all mobile phones. It's just shitty app making.
It's period. And I said this to people, right, that when WhatsApp pretty much kind of copied Snapchat with the stories, WhatsApp's video quality and picture quality through its stories and statuses that you can do, which is pretty much the same as Snapchat, was so much better on Android compared to iOS. And I was like, how have WhatsApp been able to get this right, but Snap haven't been able to get this right, but yet WhatsApp have pretty much copied Snap's platform and just incorporated it into a status format.
Yeah.
So that's just literally like the biggest cop out. It's so not true. So yeah.
Oh, I found it. Sorry, my bad. It was Business Insider.
Oh, Business Insider. Cool.
Uh-huh.
Cool.
So,
Cool. And you're right in that respect. Coupled with a bad Snapchat app and literally a bad camera in terms of hardware and software, yeah, the Razer phone can be a deal breaker. It generally can be a deal breaker. And I mean, again, not affiliated with him, but Marquez, MKBHD, he pretty much said that in his review, where it's such a conflicting feeling, because once you experience 120 hertz, once you experience the speed, once you experience the ultra powerful battery life, right? Once you experience those amazing speakers, it's made for gamers. Actually, this actually works for normal phones. This makes phones that much better, because that's what you're using every single day. It's such a shame, like, because he's someone that naturally depends on the camera use every single day. It is a deal breaker, so that's fair. That's fair. If that's I can't, for someone that is taking camera quality more of a priority now, I can't argue with that too much. I used to before, but I kind of understand why that would be a deal breaker. Yeah.
So here is the transcript from this video. Android phones often have similar or better cameras than iPhones, but on Snapchat, it's not even close. Mm-hmm. Decent start. Snapchats from Androids are much worse than from iPhones. That's because it's way easier to develop an app for iPhone. Developers only have to consider a few Apple devices, but for Android, there are hundreds of different phones, all with different size screens, running different versions of Android software. Snapchat found a way around developing too many different versions of their Android app. Instead of taking an actual photo with your actual camera, the app just takes a screen grab from your camera view. But it doesn't take that much effort to say, use the camera API, and I'm pretty sure you'd end up with still one version of the app, maybe two.
And I agree with your comment more. I do agree with the whole fragmentation of Android in terms of app development, and I think more developers naturally gravitate to iOS. I don't know how the Sandbox SDK works for their app development, but I think just naturally they make more money on iOS. They do. Mm-hmm. It's just been proven. I know developers that I've met during the years where it's like, money talks to a certain extent. Money talks. The business platform works. How it integrates. Apple do well to make it easier for you to make apps and make more money off their platform. That's why naturally, even till this day, iOS still gets priority with certain apps and certain features compared to Android. But Android is caught up enough where there's no real difference anymore. One, there's no real need of an excuse not to be able to do that, especially when certain basic application program interfaces, certain APIs have been built there to take advantage of. And again, that's what I mean about how it's WhatsApp getting it right, and yet Snap is not getting it right, when effectively WhatsApp have just copied what you do, Snap.
What I want to say is that in Q1 of this year, Android reached over 85% in market share of devices. Over 85% of mobile phones are Android. And in this case, where Snapchat is a social media network, where their money being made isn't through the application itself, but through the people using it, and therefore the advertisers, you can't afford to treat 85% of your users as second-class citizens.
Exactly. This is my point. When effectively platforms like Instagram stories, Facebook stories, WhatsApp stories have copied your platform and yet have not run into that issue. I'm being serious, I've never heard anyone using Instagram stories on Android, irrespective of what Android phone it is, unless the camera is like really, really deadbeat. Mm-hmm. WhatsApp or Facebook that has ever complained. I've never seen any in-your-face blatant articles to say that these other apps on Android don't work anywhere near as good as iOS. No one.
Yeah.
That should be a big indication of literally like, what's your excuse, Snap, when effectively they've copied what you do first. So it's ridiculous. it's good they've taken ownership, but it's ridiculous again, especially based on what you've just said about statistical priority. You can't treat your main priority as second class. It just
I even
doesn't work.
Snapchatted out this photo today. So what I will have to do though is like I have this weird glitch on my screen where there's like this
Yeah.
one point on my screen that I think because I shattered my display and I think one of
Oh
the
crap.
shards is digging into the display. Um,
Sure.
and it's like drawing a red line across the screen. But if I
Yeah,
like
yeah,
press
yeah.
on it along the top, the line goes away. If you're watching that, that is completely my fault. Let me mute this as we call Benjamin back. That was completely my fault. As I unplugged my phone, I forgot that I was using USB tethering. So unplugging my phone killed the internet connection. Sorry, completely my fault. I was just explaining it to the live stream. I was using USB tethering, and I unplugged my phone to show it to the stream. And I am a complete yeah. So it is, yeah, but not when you unplug the USB. Oh man, so that has nothing to do with my internet connection, and it's completely because I'm just an idiot who unplugged my USB cable. God damn it. But yeah, I was just saying that like the banding on this is horrible, and you can't see it because it's not being focused on right now. But you can see it completely like in the sky, and I captioned this with, imagine how much better this looks without Snapchat's shitty compression. Because it is just bad. It's just bad. And if you're in the UK and you buy it on sale, it buys you a 1700X, which is a more than decent CPU. So just saying. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Business model ethics don't agree with it. I just don't. I never have.
Oh man. So I want to talk about Facebook
Oh
because
Lord.
it's an interesting news story
Oh
because
God, I have
a
so
Facebook
much.
exec came out this week and just bashed Facebook. They were like, Facebook is terrible. Don't use it. They're manipulating you to get what they want out of you, right? To get you to come back clicking more and all that jazz. Things that I feel like we all knew subconsciously but never really wanted to admit, right?
Yeah, fact. I've had this discussion with my wife many of times.
So just today, or well, actually yesterday, just yesterday, they came out and said, we admit it, passive consumption of Facebook can make people, quote, feel worse.
Yeah,
Do you know what their solution was? If using Facebook makes you feel bad?
I don't even want to imagine.
It was use Facebook more.
How? How?
That was literally their solution. If using Facebook makes you feel bad, just use Facebook more.
Like Facebook, literally, I dub it like the catfish tunnel. Honestly, it's such a catfish tunnel, and it's so good you brought this up because my wife emphasized this, where it's like there was one moment where she had to physically stop herself, and she was like, "This is why I don't use Facebook. One, it consumes my time. Two, I end up seeing so much where I end up thinking like, what am I doing with my life? But then actually, I remember these people that are watching. I know what their life is actually like, and it's not what they're portraying. You know." And it's like I kept telling her like there's a reason why I love Twitter more, because in my opinion the only reason why you use I said the difference with Twitter is Twitter you kind of have to have a purpose to tweet. So like my personal Twitter, I don't use it that much because I never had a real reason to use it past when I left uni, because uni was just a lot of fun to use it. But it's like nowadays, like the tech thing happening, it makes it literally like the main place they interact. You see, and she's now like, with her business going on, she uses a lot more, and she's realizing, wow, it's like, it's so much. It's not just cleaner, but it's just a better platform altogether. And yeah, Facebook is literally like the deceptive catfish platform. It's more.
Crazy, yeah.
To use it more. That's no. And I've seen documentaries on this, and I think the main documentaries I saw was around the whole fake news push around the US election campaign. And Facebook is under, in my opinion, I think it's under a lot of questionable scrutiny in terms of the validity of how good or how beneficial the platform is. It's very powerful. It's a very powerful platform. It's a very powerful like if you see how many social media platforms have come in, new and old, gone and stayed, Facebook has kind of been like the de facto platform that is there, hasn't really been affected, good or bad. It's kind of like, it looks like the platform that will never go away just because of how it's been made.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's quite dangerous, the effect of it being good or bad.
So part of this blog post is hilarious. So if you go to the Facebook newsroom, which is newsroom.fb.com, it's the top thing on there. It's called Hard Questions. Is spending time on social media bad for us? And as part of the thing, they've released like a bunch of best practices.
Yeah.
And they have, newsfeed quality. But like we've made several changes to newsfeed to provide more opportunities for meaningful interaction and reduce passive consumption of low quality content. Snooze. People tell us they want more say over what they see in the newsfeed. Decent start.
Yeah.
Today, we launched Snooze, which gives people the option to hide a page, person, or group for 30 days without having to permanently unfollow or unfriend them. But why can't you? We're going to end up in a situation where it's not going to be a matter of how many friends you have. It's going to be a matter of how many unsnoozed friends you have, right?
Yeah.
That's the situation we end up in.
It's crazy in that respect. It's crazy in that I don't know. I don't spend anywhere near as much time on Facebook compared to the other platforms, especially Twitter, because I'm in my opinion, like just where I've come to, I've not really become favored to it based on this reason. And it's great you brought up this topic because again, me and my wife discussed this, and yeah, 100%, 100%. I think just with what happened with the whole fake news stuff and just how ads are manipulated on it, and I question the platform a lot more, especially because of how powerful it is. It's still a very powerful platform, and that in itself makes it very, very, it's yeah. I lean more, if it's to answer the question of the topic, especially it being the main topic of this pod, I lean more towards Facebook. I lean more towards the bad. Obviously, you can make the argument for any of the other platforms, Instagram, in terms of like maybe how people can reveal their themselves in a non provocative way, or in a provocative way. It can promote that in certain sense. You can make that argument. You can make the same argument for Twitter, i.e. when you see how people behave on Twitter in terms of just that freedom of speech being taken to a very major extent. You can make that argument. You can for every single platform, but it's just, again, Facebook, I make that argument more for it based on what you've said about how it can leave you feeling kind of crap.
Yeah.
Which subconsciously it's a very dangerous thing to kind of put out, and for the exec to come out publicly and kind of like bash, he or she, I'm not sure if it's a he or she. Yeah. He would have known the internal things. If he's kind of like been a little bit of a whistleblower, he would know the internal things that would have happened for such a model to being created. Yeah. So that's something to take into consideration based on that coming out as well.
So the whole Facebook study came coincidentally just days after the Facebook executive came out saying, and I quote here, "The short-term dopamine-driven feedback loops that we have created are destroying how society works. No civil discourse, no cooperation, I should say, misinformation, mistruth." To which, in the blog post, Mark Zuckerberg asked for forgiveness and claimed his new mission was to, quote, "bring the world closer together."
Okay, right.
So I'm going to run at this point as far away from
you both.
As far away from Facebook as I can.
Makes me and you both. If this pretty much confirms what me and my wife were talking about from prior. So just not to say don't use it. And again, like I said, you can make the argument for all the other platforms, but it's interesting how, again, Facebook is the one that is under that scope.
Yeah.
No one really asks for kind of like more accessibility compared to like how we've all been screaming for being able to edit tweets or being able to have more characters on Twitter, in a positive manner. It shows, that kind of gray area of Facebook where you kind of have to take into consideration, the dangers of it, in my opinion. Yeah. And that's coming from someone where I'm a big fan of the power of social media. Big fan of the power of social media, So yeah,
and
it's a good thing to bring through.
What I want to point out at this point, I'm kind of plugging my own socials at this point. But if you go to my Instagram, or my Twitter, or my Facebook, right, any of my public social medias, I put out some images this week, and I think you saw them. The green screen shots.
Yeah,
I took some pictures by a green screen, and I was like, "Do your worst, internet," just to see what would happen. So here are the shots. I'm now showing them to the live stream. This is just on Instagram, and the reason that I'm showing this on Instagram is because there's a photo I want to show from a couple of months ago. But these are the pictures. Then if I look through, these are some of the Photoshops. No one pointed out the wrist in the picture of me pointing at the Christmas tree. So it's actually the same picture as the one of me like pretending to be holding a gun. I literally just like turned my wrist in Photoshop and then like auto-filled the gap. And so if you look at it properly, my wrist looks broken. but no one's pointed it out. Like, it looks like it's been snapped and just like, whatever. And then there's a picture of like my sister and then the Imagine Dragons tickets because I'm going to the gig in February.
Oh, okay.
And me just kind of, my sister like sent me the picture of the tickets and I sent my Photoshop picture back as like the reply of like, oh yes. But the reason I'm on Instagram is if I scroll down, you can see I did the whole, I did these, a series of pictures leading up to my birthday, which was really cool. Yeah. But when I first rebooted my Instagram, I should say, because my first picture is from February 26th, 2014. And then my next one was June 29th of this year. So this is the real first picture on Instagram if we're being honest here. And it's my So Much More tattoo. Look, I've got it on my arm. There it is. It's my tattoo. Right? And and on this I mentioned that and again I'm quoting myself here. I will still be using daily stories on my Snapchat _Chachnize. There's a snap code on the bottom of this live stream. Go follow me. Go do it right now. I'm waiting for you. I had a daily vlog on that thing, basically. But this is for the highlights, the things I want to be permanent. Now, that line really stuck with me. The fact that I said this was for the highlights. And so that was on, when was this? June 29th. Whilst in Georgia later on in the year, on September 1st, I'd been having a rough day and I was on holiday, so it wasn't a work related thing. It was just occasionally you have a bad day, right? It just happens. Yeah. And I'd been thinking about it, and I wrote this massive paragraph of a post, or multi-paragraph post, I should say. It took forever. However, I'm gonna read this out in full, not because it's related to technology, but because we've been discussing the whole Facebook thing, and I feel like it's important to get this message out there. I'm now gonna read this word for word, and I apologize if you don't care. If you're watching this live, skip forward like literally 30 seconds. Sorry, if you're not watching this live, I should say. If you're watching this live, it's good for you, trust me. So this is me quoting myself. I said, I was thinking about what I said in my first proper Instagram post, and I realized it was irresponsible. I stated that Instagram was for my highlights, like that's all life is, a list of events going from one peak to the next. The truth is, life is much bumpier than that. Sure, there are high points, but there are low points. The difference is, we all have social media now. We're all competing to show off how great our life is, by showing off that cute selfie you took at a party, or how you went out on a date with that perfect person, completely ignoring the fact that you threw up at the party and then was hungover for the entire next day, or the argument you had with your partner just a few hours before you went out. Social media has become a bubble which makes you feel worse when you're bad, because we all stand here and show off how perfect our lives are and then tell you that you're wrong for feeling sad for even a second. We're told that other people have bad days. And you know what? Just because it's true doesn't mean I can't have a bad day too. Or a bad week. People say that you can't be happy all of the time because without pain, you couldn't appreciate the lack of it. However, I'm not happy because of the pain. I'm happy regardless of the pain. So I decided that I'm not going to act like everything is perfect all of the time. The truth is, I've had a pretty shitty day. I couldn't tell you why I felt like shit. I just did. I'm on holiday in my favorite place on earth. However, the fact is, you can never hide from your demon for too long. I implore you to do the same, not because it's easy, but because it's the right thing to do. If you're having a rough day, talk about it. There isn't always a reason, and there isn't always someone to blame. But talking about it will at least raise awareness, and people will know that when they feel shitty, they shouldn't feel alone. I wrote that at like 3 a.m. I just want to point that out.
Deep thoughts moment.
Like if Snapchat doesn't, not Snapchat, Instagram doesn't show you the time something was posted.
Yeah, it doesn't.
But I was literally writing that at 3 a.m. Like, because I couldn't sleep. Like I'd had like a pretty difficult day, and then I couldn't sleep that night, and I was like, I can't not talk about this. So I wrote that
No,
post.
it's so it's so on point. Honestly, it's so on point. Just based on honestly, Facebook is just a cat. It's the catfishness of the platform is crazy. Honestly, so crazy. And nah, you hit the nail on the head with that one. You did.
What I highly
You did.
suggest to anyone listening to this, and it might be something that is temporary, and I fully understand that, is delete social media, as much social media as you can from your phone if you have the ability to. And I think we're different in the sense that it's part of our jobs to some extent, right? So we need to be on it slightly more than most. But if you use it exclusively for personal reasons, delete it right now. And the reason I say that is because you shouldn't be spending, or you could be spending no time on Facebook. But if you have a computer or a tablet, use it on that instead. People will be fine if you miss a message by like 10 minutes because you didn't get that push notification right away the moment they sent you that message. I highly, highly suggest not having it on the mobile device that you carry with you 24/7, and the moment it makes the slightest of noises, you look at it and you're like, oh my God, what is that?
Yeah, so true.
If you have it just on your computer, and I have this for Facebook, I don't have it for Twitter because that's different for me personally.
That's different. Yeah, for us it's different because there's the purposely. Yeah. There's a purpose to using it to push, and it's been a very, very big reason as to why the channel has grown dramatically. That social media push for the channel.
Right.
But if you go on my personal Twitter, I've not tweeted in months to probably a year. My personal Facebook, I've not posted anything on there, like minus sharing something, me going out my way to actually write something on my personal or uploaded a picture. I've just never done it in not even months, years.
Yeah, I've done nothing. I've done nothing unique for Facebook, outside of actually one post I did a couple of weeks ago. I posted one post that was unique to Facebook because I was using their dual language feature. So if you have more than one language set on Facebook, you can write a post in each language, and instead of using like a shitty translation service, it just shows the post in the different language. So I was using that. I was just showing that off. Outside of that, the only time I've put something on Facebook is part of a wider push, right? It'll be something that I also tweet, or in this case, the images that I put on Twitter and on Instagram as well. There's nothing. I've done nothing exclusively for Facebook forever.
Exactly. Same. It's like mine will be based on the fact that if my Instagram is linked to my Facebook fan page and I promote a new video, and it will automatically post it on the Lover of Tech fan page for Facebook, I would then share it on my personal. But that's what I mean. It's based on sharing, but as in exclusive, like you're saying, uniquely going out my way to actually post. No. So I'm in full agreement with that. Yeah. So specifically for Facebook as well.
I think we need a slightly lighter topic after. I think we need to pick up the mood a little. The issue being, I just realized I don't have any lighter topics. The Beam Authentic was the one light topic I have for this week, and I shouldn't have wasted that like straight off the bat. I should have saved it. So let's talk about something else that was this is less bad, but it's not good, which is Mozilla angering Firefox users after force installing an add-on that was just a promo for the season finale of Mr. Robot.
No way.
Yep. They forced the install onto Firefox users. Because this was for the show Mr. Robot, which is, I'm sure you're aware of it.
Oh, yeah. Big fan of season 1. After season 1, I lost interest.
I haven't seen anything apart from season 1 as well, actually.
Same. Season 1
by
was
complete
phenomenally
coincidence.
after season 1, I lost interest. Me personally, I did, but
Yeah.
season 1 was phenomenal.
So after that, right, which, whatever, this being a show about hacking, they didn't do what made sense and give it like a reasonable name, right? They called the add-on Looking Glass 1.0.3, which sounds a bit weird. And then
Yep.
in the description, instead of saying this is a promo for Mr. Robot, they made the description of the extension, my reality is just different than yours. So if you're looking at it with no idea of what's going on, it sounds like you've been hacked. It looks like
Yeah.
someone has gotten into your browser.
Yeah.
What makes this worse is if you were to disable the extension, Mozilla automatically re-enabled it.
Yeah, that's
You
too
couldn't
much.
permanently disable the extension.
That's way too much. How much money were they getting from the TV show to have to do that? It's almost as bad as the constant Stranger Things season 2 plug that Google were doing with the Pixel launch. Because I remember even that keynote, not to digress, you could tell presenters that were on stage trying to get excited for Stranger Things 2, and you could tell in their face that they've never even seen the show before. But because of the constant plugins, it's almost as bad as that, but it's worse because it's literally like it's not something you can get rid of.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't even know that was something that they did. That's bad.
So as you can imagine, it led to one of two different types of responses. There were the people who knew what was going on because they knew of Mr. Robot and were like, oh, okay. And then were just kind of annoyed. And then there were the majority of people who had no idea what it was and were just confused as hell as to what was going on.
100%.
What I will say is, really weirdly, it was only set to run on 3 different URLs. So it would only actually run if you went to whatismybrowser.com/detect or one of 2 red wheelbarrow pages.
Yeah.
What I will say is, for this to have turned up, you had to basically during the setup guide, you had to not untick one of the privacy and security settings.
Yeah.
So if you have allow Firefox to run and install studies ticked, that is what this counts as. It's a study.
Nah, that's just a whole nother load of BS. That's crazy. I didn't even know that was the extent that it went in terms of force installing. Literally, yeah, that's bad. That's bad. Like I can't remember the last time I ever used Firefox. I don't even know what the benefits of Firefox are anymore. But
Firefox Quantum is apparently amazing. Apparently, it will feed your children. It will clean the house for you, and all whilst using 2 bytes of RAM. I
just don't know.
Yeah, it's just.
I just don't know. That's crazy. I'm even speechless to what to comment on that. Yeah.
So I want to pull out the stat here. Let me grab, because I want to have the right number. Let me find it. Blah 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 blah. The upcoming Google ad blocker. Blah blah blah. Nope, that wasn't it. Let me find this. So there is the Mozilla blog. So remembering this is a matter of checking your sources, and this specifically is from the Mozilla website purely because it's the quickest place to find it.
Yeah.
Mozilla claims that opening up. Oh my God, where is this? I can't find how much. Where are the numbers? They seem to have deleted the numbers. If I recall correctly, hang on, wait. I want to get I want to get the number right because this is important. This isn't a number I should be throwing around. Here it is. So this is the Ares 6 score, for example, which is one of many different benchmarks. The Google Chrome score is much lower. Lower is better in this situation. Is much lower than Firefox. That could be a one-off, however, because they're more or less tied on everything else. However, if we look at RAM management, come on, why does no one? Here it is. So, whereas, blah blah blah. So whereas Google Chrome uses roughly 180 megabytes with whatever this is, 5 tabs open, something, whatever, right? Whatever their setup is. Chrome uses 180 megabytes of RAM, whereas Firefox uses about 70.
Oh, wow.
So it is a big deal.
That's a night and day difference.
It becomes the difference becomes slightly less the more you open, and they claim that it consumes roughly 30% less RAM than Chrome. So when you open up 30 tabs, Quantum averages 3.8 gigabytes, whereas Chrome does 4.2.
Wow.
So as you open more tabs, those peaks and valleys tend to level out a bit more.
Level out, yeah.
But it has the potential to be a massive difference. So Firefox Quantum is undeniably great, but not whilst they're pushing whatever the hell they're pushing in these extensions.
That's just some forceful extensions, man. No way. And just obviously Google's integration to like your Google services as well. That makes a very big difference to why people just gravitate to Chrome, especially across multiple devices and stuff. Password saves and auto logins and just like histories and bookmarks and stuff. So that makes a difference. But that kind of forceful extension push, no way. No way.
I also like to hope that Google wouldn't do that kind of thing, right?
I hope nowadays, man, just like the benefit you give to certain companies is so weird now.
Right.
So you can only hope.
Because I personally, I'm like, I'm sure they're listening into everything I say, but they wouldn't push an extension on my browser, would they? Like, they'd see that as too far, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think Google, like I've said to many people, they know what my favorite socks is, but
without doubt,
they will just find a cool way of implementing it where it seems cool and useful, and then everyone's like cool with it, so at least there's that for whatever it is. So I just hope they don't do anything like that. But man, Mozilla, that's just crazy. I don't actually have any comments to add. I'm just shocked.
And there's hang on, I want to find so if you go to facebook.com/ let me just find the link. facebook.com/ads/preferences. facebook.com/ads, which is ADS/preferences. It will give you a rundown of what it thinks you're like. So it's not necessarily things you've given it explicitly. If you go to, I think it's your information. So if you go to your information and then hit your categories, it'll tell you everything it thinks you fit into. So
that's crazy.
Looking at it right now, it's saying, you are close friends of men with a birthday in the next week. You have, you're currently an expat, So someone who lives outside of their home country. Your Facebook access via mobile is Android. Your Facebook access via PC is Windows 10. You're a frequent traveler. You mainly use Chrome. You currently own an S7 Edge as your primary device. Your device supports 360 media. You live in a family-based household. Your network type is generally Wi-Fi. You're a console gamer. It knows all of these things about me without me telling it anything.
Telling it, yeah.
It just knows.
Information gathering.
And the crazy thing is, this is now hidden. They don't show it anymore. But they used to show things like guest political leanings.
Yeah.
So just before the elections were happening, it would guess which way you lean politically, and it tended to be right, which made it even weirder.
Yeah, that's wow. That's crazy. So this is literally all just based on ad targeting.
Mm-hmm. It is. You can see what Facebook sees and why, and like how they get to the ads it shows you, basically.
Yeah.
Actually, the one thing it got wrong, I didn't look if it's still there. But the last time I looked, because I check every now and again just to see what Facebook thinks of me, because I like to throw a spanner in the works where I can and do something really weird, where it will just be like, why did he do that? So it gets confused every now and again.
Yeah.
I think it's no longer there, but it used to be like it used to have like late adopter of technology on there, and I was like, oh, you think that, huh? You think that? As I put on my Snapchat spectacles, I'm a late adopter of technology, huh? Is that so?
I need those Snap glasses.
Oh, you do. They're great. And apparently, Snap is losing a bunch of money on them, so go buy some.
Yeah, I need to go. I've been dubbed as Morpheus when I'm doing my camera test when I have my sunglasses on.
Yeah.
that's kind of like a funny thing that I'm going with now.
Yeah.
I try and tell people like it's only in the UK where you'll wear more sunglasses in winter than in summer.
Oh, it's crazy. So here right now it's like 13 degrees. Well, not right now, but like in general. It's what's been even crazier is like a week ago, we got 25 centimeters of snow in one day.
Oh, wow.
And then the next day it was really sunny and all the snow was gone.
Oh, wow.
It was like that kind of instant cycle.
Yeah. It's like a major 2-season shift cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
What I will say is if you want the Snapchat spectacles through the website, which is I think just spectacles.com.
Okay.
Spectacles.com. Let's find out. It's just spectacles.com. They are £130. On eBay, they're 20 quid cheaper, so you could buy them there. But yeah, what I will say is that Snap have been losing a lot of money on these because they have, I forget what the number is, it was in the news some while ago. Let's see if I can find it. So yeah, apparently they just have a bunch in storage, but they can't shift. So what I will say is if you're Snap and you're watching this right now, send me some, because these ones are slightly scratched up at this point. I've had them for like 8 months now, and there are like light scratches on them because they're plastic. Like, it's expected. But do send me some. What I will say is the lenses look really weird. So let me pop one out. Let me pop one out real quick. So these are the lenses, and you'll notice why the Snap icon looks the way it does. Because where the thing is in the corner, there's like a cut out in the...
Cut out.
Yeah, what's the best way to show this off? Oh, I know, I'll use this mug as a background. Yeah, right, there's that cat on the lens.
Yeah.
I was actually cleaning the lenses like yesterday, the day before. So I took them both out and put the Snapchat Let me put them on. So I've just taken out a second lens. This is what they look at like without the lenses. So if this doesn't make me look like a dork, man. I don't know what will.
Fully does.
Right? Like, look at me. Hello.
I still want a pair.
Right?
I still want a pair.
I want a pair with like I want
a stocking filler.
I wish I had a pair of these like in white though, because if I had these like in white with like, you know, the reflective lenses, like some form of blue reflective lenses, that would A, fit the Snappy-Tech theme, and B, would look a lot nicer in winter, like with the snow and stuff that's here, because we tend to get like snowy but sunny weather. So I will be wearing these like well into the winter. But it'd be nice if they were white. That's all I'm saying.
No, it's true. It's true.
Right. I think we can talk about one more subject, and then we're going to call it a show. I want to talk about what can we talk about? I don't want to talk about net neutrality purely because we'll be on it forever.
We'll be on it forever.
Right. Do you want to talk about? Oh, we have some follow-up from last week's episode, which I guess will be worth it.
Follow-ups are good.
So last week we were talking about the Amazon and Google dispute, which I'm sure you're aware of.
I'm actually not, funny enough.
Are you not?
I'm actually not. No, I'm out of the loop. Like, that's weird why I'm out of the loop, because I've been seeing that.
So Amazon and so Google announced last week that they will be pulling YouTube from the Fire devices.
Okay.
So it was already unavailable on the Echo Show. Then Amazon built a workaround, and then YouTube blocked it again, basically. However, they've also said that they're now going to block it from the Fire Stick going forward and the Firebox and all the Fire devices, because they felt that Amazon weren't playing fair.
In what respect?
Their reasoning for this, and to be fair, I backed them up on this.
Okay.
And they meant it in this respect. YouTube has always been the first company to hop on Amazon's platform, right?
Yeah.
The moment they announced the Fire devices, YouTube was available on there. The moment they did anything, YouTube was available. But Amazon never gave that back. You weren't able until literally yesterday, I believe, to buy a Google Home on Amazon. You weren't able to buy a Google Pixel on Amazon.
That's true.
You weren't able. You actually weren't able to buy any Google devices. On top of that, Amazon Prime Video doesn't support Chromecast. You can't use Prime Video with your Google devices.
Yeah.
So what basically happened, in my opinion, and which I back up, I guess, is that YouTube just got fed up. They decided, you know what, screw it. This is clearly a one-way relationship where we keep supporting your devices, but when we're like, hey, we're releasing a new Chromecast, do you mind making your application work on this? Amazon were like, we'd rather sell more Fire Sticks. So
that's
right.
Yeah, okay.
So Google decided, you know what, screw this, it's not worth it anymore. And Amazon have gone, oh wait, no, okay, fine, we'll sell the Google Home. So that's what's come out this week. I wouldn't be surprised if, over the next couple of weeks they also support Chromecast.
No, that's actually, now thinking about it, that is actually fair. Just based on mutual competition gain, that is so fair. That is so fair. And it's now just exposed how valuable YouTube is as, just as a video platform, even compared to like all the others. It is, again, still the only platform where you can go to watch 8K video. So when 8K becomes ready for the masses, there would have been people that have been uploading in 8K or shooting in 8K to be able to be the first platform to show off the benefits of 8K. It will be YouTube.
Yeah.
So that's how powerful it is in terms of like a creative freedom platform. So thinking about it in that respect, it sounded ridiculous initially, because you're thinking, man, how can you pull YouTube from a streaming service like Amazon Fire Stick and stuff? But then looking at it now, and thinking about it, just not being able to support in that respect on their main platform, which is Amazon retail. That's yeah. I can actually understand Google's point.
Yeah, it's not that I feel bad for Google, because I mean, they're Google. Let's be real here.
Exactly.
They're not exactly struggling right now.
That struggling and Google are two words you don't put together.
Right. But it's I definitely get where they're coming from, and we were discussing it last week, and I think we all agreed that, you know, although it's a bit weird that they're pulling it from YouTube, from the Fire Stick, because, you know, YouTube is so, it's one of those things where it's considered to be ubiquitous, right? It's basically everywhere.
It is.
And having a platform 100%. Without YouTube on it was like, wait, what?
But 100% is.
If I was YouTube, I feel like I'd probably do the same thing. I can see myself doing that same thing.
Yeah. Looking at it, 100% agree. Looking at it in that respect, again, like I said, although it's like kind of like ubiquitous and the de facto platform to be everywhere, you kind of have to have it as a staple. This is where it's like the whole conflict between the H.265 codec and VP9 and 4 on the Apple TV. It just makes it almost pointless to get. Mm-hmm. It really almost makes it pointless to get. So at least it works on there, and not to have it working at all on a pretty, that's literally like, there is no point in buying it. So.
And the crazy thing is, so I've the link in the show notes to the BBC article. Amazon said, and I quote, "We hope we can reach an agreement to resolve these issues soon."
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, no, this is a Google statement. So clearly they've got, you know, Amazon have taken notice and gone, actually, we might want to do that one.
Yeah.
What I will also say is they've recently started selling the Apple TV as well. Now, that being that's for a different reason, however, as although it's not available on a Chromecast, the Amazon Prime Video app just this week was released on Apple TV.
Right.
From what I hear, it is truly terrible. It is absolutely horrific.
Apple, the new Apple TV 4K or Apple TV in general, I don't know, just hasn't, in my opinion, just really been received well because of these shortcomings, and that's another shortcoming to add.
And it's not even that; it's also the fact that it's like, it's so expensive, right?
Yeah, very, very. For what it is, it's very expensive.
The Chromecast is like 50 quid.
And even for that money, you just get an NVIDIA Shield TV.
Mm-hmm. And both things are really good.
Oh, yeah. You get a lot for what you pay for.
Yeah.
You get a lot for what you pay for. But, wow. Okay. But no, thanks for, I didn't actually, I'll look into that more. I didn't know that was how, yeah, it's true. I didn't know that was the extent of it.
So I'm going to call it a show on that note. So
awesome.
Benjamin, thank you for coming on. If people want to find out more, there are links to your YouTube channel and your Twitter in the show notes. However, where would you direct them? Where do you want people to go?
Definitely Twitter and YouTube. YouTube, without a doubt, because weekly videos, irrespective, reviews, camera tests, comparisons, tech discussions, vlogs now by the looks of it. I don't know how often that's going to happen, but that might get added. And definitely Twitter, LOT Reviews BA, LOT Reviews BA. I'm very, very active on there. That's where if you want to get in contact with me, I will pretty much instantaneously respond and reply to you.
I've found it a little bit disconcerting where I've done something on Twitter and you are instantly on it. I'm like, oh, that was a bit. I'm just like, was he already in Twitter? Was he like waiting for me to tweet? Is that what just happened? Like,
trust me, I'm megally active on Twitter.
I'm almost certain that you have a bot that just likes every time you're mentioned.
Yeah. I am the bot. I am the bot. So
the YouTube username is Lover of Tech, I believe. If you just type it in, it will come straight up. So do go check him out. Thank you for joining me on what is the last live episode of this year.
Of the year.
Which is crazy because it will be 26 when we go to our New Year's Eve episode. So if you wanna, join us for when we are live next, it will be January 6th or whatever the first Sunday of next year is.
Just promise
January
there will be
7th.
more people. Just promise there will be more people.
So I promise you weren't being stitched up. This wasn't a plan. It just kind of.
I just don't know anymore.
Benjamin, like just before we went live, he was like, I watch the podcast and there's always like 4 of you. And then when I go to come on, it's just the 2 of us. Like, what's going on here?
What's going on?
It's not a setup, I promise.
No, definitely. I'll keep you informed. And thanks for having me, Snappy-Tech family.
It's been an absolute pleasure. If you want to watch this show live, it's snpy.tech/live. The next couple of weeks, next week is pre-recorded. The week after will be our Best Bits podcast. I'm sure there'll be a clip from this episode as well. They will both go live at 6 p.m. GMT, which is 10 p.m. Georgian time, just in case you were wondering. And then it's the 7th of January, which will be the first Sunday of the new year. We will be live once again with hopefully a great panel. Thank you for joining us. It's snpy.tech/live for the show /podcast if you want to listen to the audio version afterwards if you can't catch us live. Then there's like /iTunes if you use an Apple device, /Facebook, /Twitter, /Snapchat if you want to follow me on that. So go do all of the socials and we will see you guys next week with a pre-recorded episode. Bye.
Peace.